Welcome back to 34, the podcast where we talk about intimacy, presence, and emotional truth behind pleasure. Today's episode is a little different and something I've really been looking forward to. I'm joined by Britta Kunze, the only sex coach trainer in Germany, a trauma-informed embodiment coach, and someone who works deeply with the body's wisdom. She brings a grounded, compassionate lens to everything from sexuality to self-worth, and has a unique way of cutting through both the shame and the performance that often surrounds these topics. Britta works with both men and women, and in today's conversation we'll talk about what really gets in the way of connection, not just in the bedroom, but in everyday life. What makes us shut down, go numb, or pretend? Why is it so hard to ask for what we really need? And what does it actually mean to feel safe? Not just physically, but emotionally. Britta, welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
Well, hi Henrik. Thanks for having me here.
Great. So do you want to tell me a little bit more about yourself to add around?
True, and it's just I'm so keen on these topics that we're going to speak about. I come from the lens of sexuality and pleasure, but in the end, it's really about intimacy and how we relate with ourselves and with others.
Great. So, well, without further ado, let's start with the big one then. So in your experience, what are some of the most common emotional or relational wounds people carry when they go into intimacy, whether they're men or women?
Well, I'd say like the most common one is this, let's say that there's like a fear of not being meant and not being seen. And this sort of leads or as a consequence, what people feel is like a lack of safety. You know, it's not safe to be me around you, or in order to receive love, there are conditions to it. So this, probably I've never experienced unconditional love, and this might lead to performance pressure which is a wound, people-pleasing patterns, and this deeper fear of being hurt or being left alone, of being judged. And this makes people shut down with each other. And then regarding maybe sexuality, there are strong, very conditioned patterns around how to be with the body and with pleasure, which also, of course, is a big wounding that we carry into intimacy.
That's very interesting you say that about the body and how people look at that. And what I've seen with a lot of the conversations I've been having with women and couples is that shame seems to be a thread in so many of these stories.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you see shame showing up in the body, and what really helps begin to dissolve that?
Well, the biggest thing with shame is, if you look at it from an energetic standpoint, if I feel shame, I contract. Like I get very stiff, I get very tight. It's like basically the opposite of expanding and flowing. Shame is really that you get very tight. And how I see that showing up you asked before the body side, the body perspective. So people get very stiff in their pelvis, in their body, around the pelvic area. You have shallow breathing patterns. So this could be something. And then holding back sort of what's happening in the body, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've seen also shame coming from different cultures as well, and it seems to be it's something that is prevailing in every culture, particularly for women and their sexuality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but also men. I mean, basically, it's really like people, that's what I said earlier. One of the wounds we come into is there's so much fear around not being enough, the body. It's growing even nowadays. I mean, we both have kids in a similar age. You have the social media thing going on. People have this very abstruse ideas of beauty and how a body is supposed to look like, for example. And so this is really, I think that's a big one within the body. And I'm not sure, like, did you also ask? You just asked what helps to begin to dissolve it, right?
Yeah.
And so within the relational context, we say there's this beautiful saying of shame dies when stories are told in safe places.
Yeah.
And so one thing could be that I start to express, the shame I feel, be it in my body or around behavioral patterns I have. And when I started to do that first, like in my personal experience, it was a really big one. My body started to tremble. It started to react. It started to show strong reactions. And this is where the trauma stuff comes in. Then when you start working with shame, because it's such a deep-rooted thing within the body, you will show very strong physical, or it could be crying, it could be shaking, it could be different things. And then on a very personal level, how I work with shame around the body and start to dissolve it with my clients is really bringing them home back into their pelvis. And I mean this very physical vessel of the place where, yes, your genitals are part of it,
Yeah.
but it's like the center, it's the physical center of your body. And to start being very at home there and grounded, because this is what you will need when the emotions come up. Like you will need this strong, I'm here, I can hold it.
Do you feel that like there's also a value there to have, or how do you actually create like a trust space with a partner in that case, or the things people can do in an easy way to help dissolve sort of the shame or that, or is it something that only comes from within?
Well, it's both. I mean, it's this, and it sort of leads up, slowing down.
Yeah.
Yeah, slow down, become very present, really present with what's happening, and then not react on it right away. So be it me witnessing you, experiencing something, or telling me something, that would be the relational aspect to it, or just being with myself, instead of falling into some pattern where I contract, I feel shame, I, how do you call it, I crawl up into myself. It's really just staying with this curiosity and this, oh, interesting, what's going on there?
Yeah, because you often talk about slowing down, especially around sex. So, in practice, what does it look like, and how can people listen to the body without getting stuck in a mind of or performance? Because I see a lot of people are thinking sex is sort of an area where you need to perform.
Well, it's what we've been taught and what we are seeing, be it in Hollywood movies or in pornography. It's this high performance all the time. Something's happening. If you watch that modern porn, it's like watching an action movie. You have the hard cuts. You have the dopamine high. Something happening. Next position. Blah blah blah. And slowing down is really it's slowing down. And when I teach people sensuality, sexuality, when I work with couples, but also with individuals, it's slowing down so much. Like I have an exercise where one person slowly approaches the other person, and every time this person standing perceives that something in them changes, and that could be on a mental level, like a thought I'm having, a physical reaction, or an emotional reaction, to make the other person stop. Do you know how long it takes then to arrive close to each other? There's so much going on the whole time if you start to really pay attention to it. And people rush. Like we come from this performance culture, we come from a high nervous system arousal culture. And then slowing down means taking the time to feel. So a really simple practice is at every moment, take the time to check in. What am I thinking? What am I feeling? What am I sensing? Mind, emotion, body. Calming down the nervous system. Really see, am I activated or am I open to feel something? The more activated you are, the less likely you will be able to feel what's happening. And slowing down it has a quality of honey, it has a quality of the ocean, of something, slowness to it. And I repeat myself, but we come from a culture where it's just the amusement park. You know, everybody's on the, how do you call it, Achterbahn, like the
attraction, looking for the hottest attraction.
Yeah, and then our nervous systems get so fried, and the problem is why people resist slowing, like really slowing down. Is, well, if you slow down, you'll start to feel, and if you start to feel, stuff comes up, and most likely you haven't learned how to deal with it.
So fear is something that I sometimes, or quite often, talk about, that you can act from a place of love or a place of fear when you go into a relationship. And I see a lot of people are starting their relationships from a place of fear, which for me means you cannot love fully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you feel like the presence piece should be maybe something there? If you're in the present, it's easier to be.
Yeah, of course it's.
Loving fully.
But it's a practice. And I mean, relationships are a beautiful container to practice these things. I think we need relationships to heal. We need relationships to get to know ourselves, the spectrum of who we are, but also the essence. And then from a position of fear rather than love.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's something that really takes practice. And I've shared with you, and not now on the podcast, but I've talked with you about this emotional model I really like, where we sort of start around guilt and shame, and then fear comes, and people want love, people want ecstasy. You know, they want to get to these higher states or these more positive emotions. But from my experience, the way to get there is to embrace all the negative emotions, the fear, the sadness, rage, pride, jealousy, all these things. In order, you need to be capable to hold space for it, to really feel love. Because this unconditional love comes from, oh wow, I can hold also space for your fear. I can also hold space for your judgments, for whatever, for my judgments. And this is a huge practice, I think.
It's beautiful. But many people, especially men, say they really want a deep intimacy in their relationships.
Mm-hmm.
But they then shut down when it starts to feel emotionally intense. And you work with both men and women, so why do you think that is? And what can partners do when that happens?
Mm-hmm. Well, there's little capacity to hold intense emotions. And it's just sort of adding up to what I just said. And I feel culturally, still nowadays, or at least in the past, over the past hundreds of years, it was more allowed for women to be emotional and less allowed for men to express emotions. And then, of course, if strong, intense emotions come towards me and I haven't no space within me because I haven't explored and dove into it myself, be it grief, be it rage, whatever, and to hold it in a self-responsible way, I'm pretty. I'm tempted to say I'm pretty fucked, but I'm not. I don't know if that's allowed. So I'm very challenged. Then I'm very challenged. And so, yeah, if you want to have intimacy, if you crave intimacy, it's about learning to feel your body and stay grounded in your body in order to feel the variety and range of emotions that might arise within you or a partner. And then to practice and learn good communication, because that's also what a lot of people are missing out is and I'm not saying it from a judgmental point. It's where do you learn it? Like, you don't learn it. We don't learn it. Yeah. So, but you consciously have to decide, I'm going to learn how to communicate in a self-responsible, vulnerable, honest way. And if that's something you master, you will, basically there's no more conflict.
It's an ideal world.
Mm-hmm.
So we see also a lot of women. So for women who've been told their pleasure is too much, or then we also have the men who've been raised to disconnect from these emotions. So where do you think we even can start to heal that gap between men and women in that case?
Between men and women to feel pleasure, you say?
Yeah. Where you have men who are raised to disconnect from their emotions and not sit with emotion.
Mm-hmm. And women disconnected from their pleasure.
Yeah. Or been told that it's too much with their pleasure, more or less.
When you by asking the question, you're giving the answer, sort of. So for somebody, for one, it might be really to learn to deal with their emotions and to open up to emotions and be with that. And for the other one, it might be to really learn to connect with the body and with the pleasure, and that lives in everybody at every moment. And we can all experience this intense pleasure. And yeah, there might be things where with male clients it might be more about working on the emotional aspects, and with female clients working on the physical aspects, but not necessarily always. So both with men and women, it's really what happens if you go out of your mind fuck, of what your mind is telling you about, out of the conditioning, and start to feel what's happening on an emotional and physical level. And we circle back to presence. We circle back to explore, be like physically explore beyond functioning, explore beyond performing, and in the interpersonal, it's becoming very present, opening up a space of permission.
There's a lot of work that people can do, at least, to start moving towards each other.
Yeah, and I mean, I said it. I come from this sex lens because I feel that if you start to explore to really your pleasure, make pleasure your North Star.
Yeah.
And really look at it from what could be more pleasurable, even more pleasurable in my sexuality, in my physical. People whom I work with, they start to change their relationships, their jobs, maybe their living situations, because they see how contracted or how shut down they are in the life they created within themselves. And if you put pleasure as a North Star, it's such a great path for personal development. And you will meet all these things. Yeah, like you will have to look at your emotions, at your communication, at your body.
Yeah. I mean, we've spoken with outside the podcast as well around the value of the sex coaching that you do. You sell the sex in one way, but actually it is about much more focusing on intimacy and creating that with yourself as well as with other people.
Yeah.
So do you want to elaborate a bit more on that?
A little bit more on that. Yeah, sell the sex because sex sells, and that's what people want. They want the ecstasy. They want the having an orgasm at the same time with your partner, being this passionate, feeling self-confident, all these things.
They want the amusement park.
They want the amusement park, right? And in order to feel really to be able to stay present and not dissociate when you're in the amusement park, because that's what a lot of people do. You have very funny videos on the internet where people faint on these attractions, and then they get out and they're like, whoa, that was the best experience of my life. And that's the same what happens in this intense sexual performance-driven sex moments. So if you want to hold this ecstasy, it's about intimacy. It's about being able to stay truly connected with yourself, and then on top of that, stay connected through that, and being able to communicate yourself, showing yourself, be able to honestly connect with somebody else. And then what opens up within that is this beauty. It's this high intensity of, be it in sexuality or in other aspects of life, where you fully feel you're present. Yeah.
It's a different appreciation of life in that way.
It's different, and you live an orgasmic life, you live an ecstatic life, and that's possible in every given moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being present.
Being present, and yeah, I mean, the intimacy thing is about the relational thing. It's also about learning to ride the wave of relaxation and arousal. And you cannot just go for arousal without the relaxation. There's an energetic aspect to it. How much am I receiving? How capable am I of receiving? How capable am I of giving? So there are many things, but intimacy, I feel, is the strongest one, because it basically starting with your first question, because people have so many wounds.
So you've said before that the body never lies. Can you share a bit what that means and how you've seen it play out with clients, and maybe a moment when somebody's body revealed something their mind hadn't caught up to yet?
Mm-hmm. Well, I was trained as a sexological body worker, so I've worked with people before, and then I moved more towards counseling and coaching. But I've worked on a very physical level with people around sexuality and pleasure. And for example, a typical situation would be that I would ask a client, how safe do you feel? Do you feel, how relaxed are you? And people would be like, yeah, I feel totally safe. I'm very relaxed. But at the same time, their body would be sweating, or they would have cold feet. Or I could feel their body being very contracted, shallow breathing. So I can take in this information, and I can even believe that sometimes people were probably as relaxed as they had never been before, but still, on the scale, their body was not. And so to make it more, maybe more, to give other examples, you as a listener, you can look out for it yourself. Is these things like, is your mouth dry? Are you sweating? How contracted are you in your body, on your pelvis especially? Can you relate to your pelvis right now? Can you feel it? Can you expand? Can you relax it? Then everybody knows the body's not lying around sexuality. Either, I mean, you can fake an orgasm and you know that you didn't have one, or you can have an orgasm but still feel how stressed you were. So all this around sexuality, arousal and pleasure, we can have the best performance, but if we look in the mirror, we know, like our body knows, and it usually shows us signs, be it through dysfunctions, or be it through, like when you get sick, when you have diseases, things like the contractions. So it's your body speaking to you.
It's a first sign that something is not right.
It's always, yeah, your body always, I really like this lens of your body it wants your best and it communicates with you. So if you're struggling with stuff in your body, it's your body who is telling you a deeper truth that your mind probably doesn't want to listen to.
Yeah, the body never lies.
And it's always in favor of you. So, I mean, I work with people who have, early ejaculation or lack of orgasm. And the body is so smart. So the body doesn't have a problem at all. Usually it functions very well.
Mind.
Yeah, it's the mind, or the emotional level, the energetic level, the relational level. These are the things, but your body is very capable of feeling so much pleasure. It just needs the permission from you or whatever to be able to expand into this.
So you mentioned before as well about you've actually created a very interesting model, a 6-step model.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to just elaborate a bit about your model? Mm-hmm. You refer to it and go a bit deeper?
Yeah, in German I call it the Bembus model, but so in English it would be like a 6-layer model. And if I work with clients on their sexuality, so if you're listening and sexuality is something you want to explore, you can ask yourself, you can look on the physical level, so that would be one perspective to look at it. On a physical level, how much pleasure am I capable of experiencing on a physical level? How relaxed, how contracted, how am I with arousal, all these things. And then and I like to start with the body. Yeah, really the very physical thing. Then you can look at an emotional level. We elaborated a lot on that. People want to feel love and ecstasy. Well, if you want to get there, say hi to shame, guilt, fear, rage, jealousy, all the stuff you probably don't want to feel, and look at, and how is that playing out in your life? Like, what stands between you and a fulfilled, be it intimacy or sex life? Which of these feelings is it? Which one are you is challenging you? So we could look at that. For a lot of people, it's shame or fear or suppressed anger. Then the third level is, of course, the mind. What knowledge do I have around things? What lack of knowledge? How's my mindset? on this growth mindset? Do I have a fixed mindset? So this is an interesting part to look at. What's my conditioning around things, around relationships and sexuality? Then you have the energetic perspective. So it's really, I'm talking now through the lens of sexuality, but you come from the relational thing, and it's the same thing. Is it nourishing to me what's happening? Does it fill up my cup, or does it empty my cup? Am I giving more than I'm receiving? And of course, also you can master sexual energy in terms of using it really to feel alive. Then we have the relational aspect. So how am I with communication? How am I with intimacy, with getting close with somebody, but also being autonomous and self-responsible and on my own, German we say, on my own feet. So how's my relational life doing? And then the last aspect that I like to look at, of course, is sexual self-expression. Where am I? Like, what have I experienced? What are my desires? What are my fears? Would I say that am I capable of expressing what I want and creating spaces where I can experience it?
For yourself and for your partner.
Yes,
then.
yes.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So, lastly, Britta, if someone is listening to this and thinking, I really want to get to a point where I can connect more deeply, but I don't really know where to start, do you have one gentle practice or question they can start with, like today?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I would go for the pelvis, really, and that might seem, because there might be many practices you've heard of. Yeah, you can practice deeper breathing, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you can do that. Or you can, but I think for me, a very powerful tool, and what I teach my clients is to feel their pelvis. I'm not talking about pelvic Kegel exercises at all. Yeah. So it's really to tune into the middle of your body, feel your genitals, feel your anus, feel your pelvic bone structure, and see, can I do something to feel more expansion and relaxation in this part of my body? Be it through breathing, be it through moving or stretching. But if you learn to stay grounded and present there, I think your life will improve, your relationships and your sexuality.
Thank you so much. Britta, I want to thank you for your presence, your insight, and your courage to speak into the things a lot of us feel, but a lot of us also struggle to name. And what I take from this conversation is something very simple, and I think also very human. That real intimacy isn't just about performance, it's about presence. And that healing, whether it's emotional, sexual, or relational, doesn't begin with fixing. It begins with listening. And that means, I would say, to your own body, to your partner, and what's underneath the words.
Yes.
So if you're listening right now and something stirred in you, a memory, a longing, maybe even a discomfort, and I just invite you to stay with it. Not to rush in, not to numb it out, but meet yourself there, gently. Because as Britta reminded us, the body never lies. And sometimes what we feel is the most honest guide we have. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
If you found this conversation valuable, share it with someone who needs to hear it, because it's not just about sex, it's about how we show up for ourselves and for each other. See you in the next episode.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And if you want to reach out to Britta yourself, you can go to brittakunze.de. She's also available on Instagram.